Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. The time is 5:32 in the evening on the 13th of November, 2023. I'd like to call to order the regularly scheduled planning and zoning meeting for the city of Middleton. My name is Heidel Summers. I am the planning and zoning chairman. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remove your hats. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Exciting to have so many people here with us this evening. Will the deputy clerk please do a roll call of the commissioners?
Chairman Summers.
Present.
Vice Chair Christiansen.
Present.
Commissioner Cross.
Present.
Commissioner Trumbull.
Present.
Commissioner Watkins.
Present.
And do we have a quorum so that we can proceed?
Yes, we do.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder to those of you in the audience, please keep your voices down. We are recording this, and we do need a clear recording. And your speaking out in the audience does muffle our recording, and it could get bounced back and rejected, and we do not want that to happen. This is the time lawfully noticed for hearings scheduled for the Planning and Zoning Commission for the city of Middleton, Idaho. According to the posted agenda, the deputy clerk has confirmed we have a quorum present to hear the scheduled agenda. So, let's first look at the action items. We've got to approve the consent agenda. We need to consider approving our regular meeting minutes from October 16th, 2023. Consider approving our minutes for our City Council October 18th, 2023 joint special meeting. We need to consider approving minutes for our candidate forum on October 17th, 2023. That was not a planning and zoning meeting, but we did have a quorum of our commissioners present. Therefore, we do need to approve those minutes, which are no minutes. Consider approving the FCR for the Mills Landing subdivision from our last meeting. Consider approving the FCR for Star, Caldwell, and Middleton fire impact fee application. And consider approving the FCR for Middleton Police and Parks impact fee application. Did anybody see anything in any of these meetings or the FCRs that needed to be adjusted or added?
Did not.
I did not.
Okay, then I will take a motion to consider approving the items of routine administrative business.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Okay, so we have a motion by Chris Jansen. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Watkins? Is that right?
Yep.
So a motion by Chris Jansen and a second by Watkins. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that's a unanimous approval of the items of routine administrative business. So we will move along on our agenda. And before we do that, I would like to go over briefly some of the testimony guidelines, and this is going to apply to everybody who's going to step up to the podium and give testimony tonight, as well as anybody sitting in the audience. Please silence your electronic devices and please keep talking to a minimum so that we can get a clear recording of tonight's meeting. If you need to talk while seated in the audience, please be respectful and step outside so as not to disturb the meeting. If you are here to offer public testimony on any of the agenda items, please be sure to sign the appropriate sign-up sheet at the back counter. If you don't sign it, you may not get to give your testimony. So make sure that if you're here to give testimony, that you put your name there. There will also be a designated time at the end of the meeting that is reserved for general public comments that are not related to any agenda item. So if your testimony actually is something more general about the city of Middleton, hold your testimony for the end. We want the testimony for the agenda item to just be applicable to that agenda item because it is a public hearing. We'd like to make sure that everybody who wants to has a time to give their testimony during the allotted time for this meeting. So if someone before you has stated a similar testimony or the same testimony as you plan to give, you may simply record for the record that you agree with the previous stated testimony. You may also give any additional new testimony as applicable. When your name is called, you will be asked to come up to the podium to clearly state your name and address for the record. You will be given 3 minutes on the clock to give your testimony. Please adhere to this time limit so that we can keep our meeting moving along and we can hear from all the public who wishes to give testimony. You may be allotted an extra 1 minute of additional time if you have important additional items to cover that you believe are pertinent to this board's ability to reach a decision and that have not already been covered in your testimony or a previous testimony. So with that out of the way, our number two agenda item is a public hearing. This is an application by J&J Johnson LLC and Ag Land and Development LLC for annexation rezone, preliminary plat and development agreement with respect to the Pheasant Heights subdivision located at 23854 Emmett Road, 13236 Greenwell Lane, and 0 Emmett Road, Middleton, Idaho. Tax parcels numbers are R34445012A0 and R34445012A1, R34445012B0, and R34445012A2. The applicants are requesting a zone change from County C1 Neighborhood Commercial and R1 Single Family to City R3 Zone, Single Family Residential. The proposed preliminary plat consists of 147 buildable lots and 12 common lots on approximately 54 acres of land. And City Engineer Ms. Woodruff is presenting tonight. Will we be hearing this? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, I have to open my public hearing at 5:39 p.m.
Thank you, Chairman Summers and Commissioners. As Chairman noted, I'm not the planning and zoning official. My firm is actually the city's engineer, Civil Dynamics. I'm Amy Woodruff. For the record, business address 5605 South 10th Avenue in Caldwell, 83607. I also talked with Chair Summers just right before the meeting started. I'm not going to read the staff report into the record verbatim. I'm just going to hit the high spots for you. The analysis and the staff report was done by the planning official. As we're going through the staff report, if you have questions and want to stop me at that time and ask them, please do, or note them and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Okay. Thank you, Amber. Pheasant Heights subdivision, the project. Would you like me to wait, Chairman, until it's back up?
Yeah, let's get that back up real quick.
Can she speak up because we can't hear her? She's very soft-spoken.
I will stand and maybe project my voice a little bit better. I'm kind of looking down and reading, so I'm sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Is this an underscore? Yeah. Capital. Okay, very good.
having technical difficulties, sorry. Oh, it's not connecting. Yeah, I can actually bring it up on my computer. There it goes. Did you get it to work?
Is that me or you that did that? Yeah, this right here.
While they're bringing this up, this document is available on the city's website. Anyone can pull this up, so it is posted.
I have it on this one if we need to use it.
Let's use that one. Got it? Okay. You'll be able to control it better on that one.
Maybe.
Yep, there you go. And just scroll. There you go.
Chairman, Commissioners, again, thank you. Project description, a residential subdivision, 147 single-family lots, 12 common lots on 54 acres located there just west of the Middleton High School. What's before you are 3 applications. Number 1, an annexation with a zone of R3. Number 2, a preliminary plat. And number 3, a development agreement. I touched on this, but the staff report and all documents are available on the city's website for anyone that would like to pull them up. This project came before you before, same application, annexation with an R3 development agreement and preliminary plat in March of 2021. City Council ultimately denied the application in October of 2022, finding that the high density would have an undue impact on city streets, 2 elementary schools are over capacity, and R3 zoning is incompatible with the existing county neighborhoods to the north, west, and south. Council stated that the applicant may be able to gain approval by requesting an R1 zoning rather than the R3. The SCOs are attached in this staff report for your use. Current zoning, as you noted, Chair, is C1 for that area bordering Emmett, R1 for the rest of the property. Surrounding it is County R1 to the southwest, or excuse me, the southeast, County Ag to the south, County RR to the west, and County Ag to the north. City services, water, city municipal water is located in Emmett Road. Well 9, the city's large municipal well, is near the southeast corner of the property. Sewer is just a tick south of the 9th and Emmett roundabout. This property would be served by a lift station, and the sewage would be pumped to the gravity manhole located just south of the 9th and Emmett roundabout there. Primary access to the subdivision will be from 9th Street, which goes through existing Faison Point to the south there along the south area of the project. There's another access off of Emmett Road. It will be restricted to a right-in, right-out. The developer will be required to improve 9th Street in that area through Faison. It's in the development agreement with curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Currently, it's a county road type of section, and the improvement would The improvement would bring that road up to a city standard, a city residential collector standard. This project, as with all projects that apply for a development permit, or excuse me, a development permit and ultimately a building permit, will pay $742,350 in impact fees, transportation impact fees, and that's simple math of the 147 residential lots times the $5,050 fee. The applicant has completed a traffic study. It identified improvements that need to be made to the Cemetery Road and Purple Sage intersection, and also the Hartley and Purple Sage intersection. And they'll pay $68,000 in additional pro rata traffic fees as a result of that traffic study. The traffic signal at Emmett and 44, as you know, it currently does not exist. That intersection is currently functioning at a level of service F at certain peak times during the day. Level of service F at certain peak times during the day. The city planning staff has added a condition into the proposed development agreement that as a condition of approval for the phase 1 construction drawings of Pheasant Heights, the signal would need to be designed either by Pheasant Heights or others. And as a condition of final plat signature for phase 1, the traffic light would have to be built and functional. The developer has not agreed to that provision. It is in the development agreement before you. Item H, pathway, open space, and amenities. There were no public pathways or amenities that were identified on the comprehensive plans, transportation, schools, and recreation map. However, the developer will construct a park with a pickleball court, micropaths, playground, an open grassy area, and a picnic area with shade structures. And you can see a schematic of that on the screen before you there. The developer has provided 5.3% open space. City code requires 5% open space. The developer has also agreed to construct a missing segment of sidewalk. That's at the Willis Emmett roundabout, and it's basically will connect the sidewalk from the north boundary of Pheasant Heights, future sidewalk, to the existing sidewalk at the roundabout. Schools, Pheasant Heights subdivision is in the Middleton School District. You have a letter in your packet from Superintendent Gee talking about the impact of the schools. Police, if annexed into the city of Middleton, the city police force would provide police protection, public safety for the project. The project will be paying the police impact fee at each building permit. Middleton Rural Fire District, the project is in Middleton Rural Fire District. I believe you have a letter in your packet from Chief Islis. This project will also pay impact fee into the Middleton Rural Fire District. We talked about the annexation and zone change. Annexation of the 54 acres with an R3 from County R1 and County C1. There are two findings in the staff report and analysis that must be made before the annexation can be approved. Finding 1, the property must be contiguous to city limits. And finding 2, the annexation is deemed to be an orderly development of the city, allowing efficient and economical extension of city services such as sewer, water, police and fire protection, schools, and the roadway system. That's laid out in Idaho Code 50-222. The application for rezone requires 2 findings before a rezone application can be approved. Number 1, the rezone will not adversely affect the city's delivery of services. And number 2, the rezone request is not in conflict with the comprehensive plan. That's Idaho Code 67-6511. staff findings, the annexation findings. With respect to annexation, planning staff finds that the applicant's project meets the first criteria of contiguity. The project parcel is directly adjacent to city limits on the north, on the full east boundary. The second annexation criteria, planning staff finds that the proposed annexation is an orderly and efficient extension of city services. Sewer and water services are readily available. She touches on the elementary, middle, and high school capacities. And as to the extension of the transportation system and roadway, the developer will pay transportation impacts and pro rata traffic fees to cover its proportion of impact on the roadway system. We touched on this. The development agreement provision regarding a traffic signal light at limit and 44, if agreed to by the developer, will mitigate the subdivision's impact on traffic at that intersection. Item B, rezone findings, staff findings. As to the rezone application, planning staff finds that the rezone will not adversely affect the city's ability to deliver services for the reasons already stated above. The rezone also requires a finding that the project will not be in conflict with the city's comprehensive plan. Staff finds that the R3 zoning is not in conflict with the city's comprehensive plan. The project parcel is very close to the city's high-intensity commercial center plan for the area. High-density single-family lots, townhomes, and apartments are appropriate uses next to or near a large commercial center. The future land use map shows what type of uses the city is planning for an area as the city grows. The pink color represents commercial, and the blue represents residential. I'm going to go to page 8. Additionally, Pheasant Heights is very near the large West Highlands subdivision and Stonehaven subdivision, both zoned R3. When the governing boards considered the Pheasant Heights project in 2021, the boards were swayed by the fact that county subdivisions with larger lots were located on the north and south boundaries of the project. The governing boards stated that Pheasant Heights should blend more with the existing county neighborhoods and therefore should have larger acreage lots. However, as stated above, a review of the comprehensive plan shows that Pheasant Heights is actually located near a high-intensity area and will be appropriate for higher density housing. The comprehensive plan addresses the issue of county subdivisions hemming in the city and preventing healthy growth that will allow the city to maintain economical city services. The annexation portion of the comprehensive plan states at page 17, the city of Middleton is being boxed in by the boundaries of the city of Star on the east, city of Caldwell on the south, and by the 1,510 rural residential properties that are on all sides, about 1,181 of which are in the county-approved subdivisions contiguous and adjacent to the city of Middleton. Note the county continues to approve rural residential subdivisions contiguous to city limits. These barriers to Middleton city limits expanding prevents inclusion in the city of properties beyond the barriers. The comprehensive plan goes on to state that folks who live in the county still benefit from city-funded roadways and parks. The plan goes on to state that annexation is a way, quote, to avoid being boxed in and to ensure properties receiving city services pay for those services equally. In summary, the comp plan shows high-intensity commercial use very near the Pheasant Heights project. The comp plan also addresses the issue of county subdivisions preventing healthy growth of the city, which is necessary for a city to thrive and maintain economical services in the future. Rezoning the Pheasant Heights parcel to R3, therefore, is more in harmony with the comprehensive plan than continuing the trend of large acre county parcels. Moving to the preliminary plat application. The preliminary plat shows 147 single-family home lots and 12 common lots to be built in 3 phases, basically south to north. Under the R3 zone, the developer is entitled to 3 homes per gross acre, and in this parcel, that would calculate to 162 single-family home lots. The developer's density proposed is 2.72 homes per acre. Staff finding, the preliminary plat complies with all dimensional standards and codes of the city of Middleton, which means it meets the sole criteria required for an approval by the governing board. No variances are requested. The third component of the application, the development agreement that's before you. And section 3.1 and 3.2, developer to complete all frontage road improvements adjacent to the project. Section 3.3, the developer to construct the project generally consistent with the concept plan. Section 3.4, developer to pay all pro rata traffic fees prior to final plat approval for phase 1. Section 3.5, developer cannot obtain approval of its construction drawings until the traffic light at Emmett and 44 is designed. Developer cannot apply for approval of final plat for phase 1 until the Emmett light is actually constructed. Section 3.6, developer shall build a sewer lift station to serve the project site. If the city, in its discretion, decides that a regional lift station is required, then the developer shall construct a regional lift station. Developer shall be reimbursed for construction costs over and above his proportionate share via a latecomer's fee allowed by Middleton City Code 1-17-1. Section 3.7, developer has 5 years to obtain phase 1 final plat approval after 2 extensions are approved. Developer must then bring each phase thereafter to final plat within 4 years, which also includes 2 extensions. If developer fails to meet these timelines, the city has the right to terminate the DA and the preliminary plat will be null and void. Section 3.8, the developer shall provide the following amenities: pickleball court, dog park, large playground with benches and a seating area, at least 2 ramadas with picnic tables, micro pathway, pocket park with seating area. Commissioners, I'm not clear if those are public improvements or for use by the folks that live there.
Good question.
Section 3.9, developer shall build a portion of sidewalk off-site, to complete the sidewalks needed for safe routes to school. Bottom of page 10, item O, comprehensive plan and land use map. We touched on this. The applicant's project complies with the comprehensive plan's future land use map because the project is designated residential, which matches the R3 zoning. And then the planning staff has gone through a number of goals in the comprehensive plan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that are in your packet. Would you like me to review those with you, or do you feel comfortable doing that on your own?
I think we're fine with, we've all reviewed them, so, yeah.
We're getting close. In your packet, you have comments from the city engineer and the city planning staff regarding the application, including the preliminary plat. Comments from agencies in your packet. Comments received from the public. There were a number of late comment submittals, and I believe those have been provided to the commissioners.
Those are
And
included.
Jean confirmed that. The application was received and accepted on June 9th, 2023. It has been duly noticed, and the dates there of notice are in the staff report. Applicable codes and standards: Idaho Code, Idaho Standard for Public Works Construction, Middleton Supplement thereto, and Middleton City Code. Conclusions and recommended conditions of approval are the last items in the staff report. Number 1, City of Middleton municipal domestic fire flow, and sanitary sewer services are to be extended to serve the subdivisions. Now, this is in the event the commissioners find to approve. These are the recommended conditions of approval minimum. You may add to this or subtract. Number 1. Number 2, developer to comply with all terms and provisions of the development agreement approved for the project. Number 3, license access easement pertaining to the existing home, Lot 15, Block 3, must be terminated or abandoned prior to Phase 1 final plat approval. All pro rata traffic fees due pursuant to Middleton City Code must be paid prior to Phase 1 final plat approval. Off-site installation of sidewalk between Willis Road Roundabout and the north boundary of the project is to be completed prior to Phase 3 final plat approval. Developer to install landscaping and all amenities in compliance with the landscape plan approved with the preliminary plat. Developer shall create a plan for operation, maintenance, and repair of stormwater facilities and O&M plan contained on the site. The O&M plan shall be recorded with the CC&R. Developer and/or the HOA must maintain or operate the subdivision stormwater facilities in compliance with the O&M plan. Number 8, all city engineer and planner comments to be completed and approved. Number 9, all agency comments to be completed and approved. Number 10, all comments from the applicable irrigation district to be completed and approved. And the final condition, sewer and water capacity to be reserved at the time the city approves construction drawings for the project. And with that, Commissioners, I'll stand for questions.
Okay, thank you. Really quickly, just a reminder to silence your electronics. If you have an Apple phone, it is on the side. You just switch the little button. Android, you're on your own. But if you could just double check, even if you think it's silent, just make sure it's silent for us, please. And if you came in late and you want to give testimony, make sure you sign up in the back. So, questions for staff. I do have a quick question. We may need to ask the applicant, you may not know. But without having the other preliminary plat in front of me, this looks like it's probably the same thing we already saw. Has there been changes to it?
Not material changes.
Okay, so this is basically the same plat that came before us already. Okay. And then that was actually the only thing I had for staff. Anybody else have a question for staff?
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we will bring the applicants up. Step up to the podium, speak clearly into the microphone, name and address for the record. How many people are going to be speaking to the applicant?
That's just going to be one,
Just
but then
you?
for questions, there's a possibility that we've got our engineer here who
Okay.
is probably
So
gonna
for
be able
your
to-
presentation, before we get to questions, how much time do you need?
10 minutes would be great.
10 minutes,
Might be
okay.
going under, but
Okay,
shoot for 10.
let's give you 10 minutes then.
Awesome.
Is this the correct slide, Joe?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Do you have a clicker by chance? If I...
It's right here. Oh, the clicker, excuse
I'm
me,
your
the pointer.
clicker.
Okay.
So just tell me
Yeah,
when to
no
go.
worries. Awesome. Okay, good evening, Planning and Zoning Commissioners. My name is Connor Gray. I'm with AG Land and Development. I've been working with Carl Anderson, sitting next to me, with the project management and the planning for Pheasant Heights within this
Address?
last year.
Address
Yep.
for the record?
And then address of 505 South 7th, Caldwell, Idaho. Okay, so before we begin, as I mentioned, will be pointed out tonight and has been, the Pheasant Heights project has been in the work for multiple years now. Recognizing that, this project was heard over a little over a year ago by City Council where it's not receiving an approval. The City Council at that time wanted to see a particular piece of land to remain having an R1 designation. During that such hearing, there were many misrepresentations that were made about this project that went unaddressed that we truly believe led to the ultimate decision by the City Council. So after the hearing, the landowner was then left with the decision to remain in the county for the new project or to address some of the address and solve some of the key issues that were discussed by the City Council during that time. After an additional year of planning, hearing other projects of the size being annexed and approving the city of Middleton, and working with the city staff closely, we made the decision to improve the project by not only matching the other developments that have been approved, but by going above and beyond with the help of the city of Middleton. Because there are many new members to the Planning and Zoning Commission and members of the Middleton who are here tonight, I do ask that you do look at this project that is what is here tonight, not over the last few years, despite its history. As an in-state development company who has done multiple projects within the Canyon County area, we truly believe that the project will not only benefit the city of Middleton tremendously, but this will set the tone for what effort is going to be required for part of this growing city. You can go to the second slide. Okay, so now that we have that addressed, let's begin. The Pheasant Heights project is seeking the approval of a city zoning R3 designation consisting of 147 building lots and 12 common lots located across from Middleton High School. The project is 2.7 units per acre, below the maximum units allowed per code, is nearly the same density as previously accepted annexations into the city. Most importantly, we're not asking for any waivers as with this project, as we see it as important to be able to build the code when it is available to us. Next slide, please. We're in agreement with the city's findings that the project aligns with the comprehensive plan and the Middleton with the future land use plan. More specifically, we agree that the city findings in this particular piece of land should be designated as high density. This finding is directly spelled out in the comprehensive plan. More specifically, that high density needs to be located near schools in large commercial areas. Not only is that pointed out in the comprehensive plan and by the city findings, but it is also evident that the approved developments within the last few years that this exact area are within the city limits. Next slide, please. The Pheasant Heights single-family homes will be built to keep in mind the growing need of homes in the Treasure Valley. These homes will provide families of all sizes and needs. The average building lot is over 11,000 square feet. This is more space per lot as provided in the boarding R3 projects already exists with this project that are also boarding the high school. As to what those lots look like, next slide please. And this is just a picture of our plat. Next slide. Colored rendering. Thank you. Again, this is going to be a 3-phase development project. Next slide. As to what the lots look like, these renderings provided are depictions that are created at scale to give the members of the board an idea of how large these lots are in comparison to most of the R3 subdivisions that are found bordering the school. As you can notice, these homes and layouts are carefully designed to fit the aesthetic look that Middleton is looking for. The landscaping, the spacing, the quality of homes are meticulously thought out, and we want them to be a hallmark for the city of Middleton. Again, some more renderings to be able to provide an actual depiction of the spacing between the houses, and again, the landscaping plan that we have for that. And again, I cannot stress enough, this is to scale, so this is an accurate depiction of what we have. Next slide. Pheasant Heights is allotting 6.37 acres of open space. This will include a large park for the members of the community. In addition, we have updated our other amenities to go beyond what is seen in the neighboring subdivisions throughout the valley in order to promote livability within a higher density area. This includes a pavilion, a playground, walking paths, a pickleball court, a dog park, and benches. Again, we have some colored renderings, again, to scale of what our park is going to look like with our playground and our pickleball courts. Okay. All right, so why annexation? To first understand why this property needs to be annexed into the city and in accordance with the comprehensive plan, we need to look at the property location with a 30,000-foot view. As the city had mentioned, this project was denied over a year ago due to concerns it would have over traffic and school capacity. First, this particular land has 2 county zoning designations, a residential aspect and also a commercial aspect. That's more importantly 8 to 12 acres of commercial ground bordering in the road. Now, if the developer were to remain in the county and create a project to the prescribed uses, those issues will still be present, if not more prevalent, with that ground. More importantly, if the developer were to choose to go this route, to stay in the county, the city would have no say on what goes in front of their high school. There's going to be no financial benefits from the impact of traffic fees that we're going to be paying. There's going to be no regional lift station to be able to allow comprehensive growth going beyond this Emmett Road that they desperately need. And more importantly, a donut hole of a county designation in one of the most prime spots for the city to grow in an efficient and economically sustainable way. Furthermore, the students will still be able to entering the school system, and the traffic, especially with the commercial ground, will contribute exponentially without the mitigating plans that the city will want us to see, or will want to see. It is vital for us to take in the understanding where this project's location is at. If we were to keep this ground as a county project, the city will have a county project at the door of their much-needed space for proper growth, as it was mentioned in the city findings. This will likely trigger the surrounding properties and property owners to be forced to stay in the county if they choose not to do so. This will ultimately lead to the urban sprawling that I think everyone around here is trying to prevent. More importantly, this annexation is for the benefit of the city. We cannot stress it more, it's for the city and not necessarily the county. We believe that the city does not want to miss out on the revenue that this project will bring in via impact fees, donations, traffic mitigation, and also the other benefits such as the regional lift station that we are proposing that we could be able to make. Next slide. Again, during this entire process, we have been working with all of the agencies to get feedback on what we need to be able to do. Next slide. Okay, and now to the good stuff. So, it is under no one's surprise here that one of the major hurdles after that the city of Middleton is facing right now is the intersection failures both at Cemetery Road and Highway 44 and Emmett Road. As many remember, this was the driving force over a year ago with the city council behind their decision. Now, at that time, there was no clear path towards the mitigation of the traffic that would be input on the Highway and 44 intersection. During the time, we were asked to join with the surrounding developers to design and construct the light, for which the developer was happy to contribute to that with the projects that were going to be slated to be coming into the city of Middleton over the next few years. During the hearing, there were very reasonable arguments that were made to why this could not be achieved. You're essentially you're relying on 5 to 6 different developers to be able to come together and construct a traffic light going through many different agencies. We don't know how long it would be able to take to be able to do so. And that's assumed if all 5 or 6 projects were able to get passed through successfully. Now, as it was brought in last time in the city council hearing, this would open the door for developers to claim a hardship. And again, that is a very reasonable argument to make. Now, if we fast forward to 2023, the city council has shown us that there's even a more clear path towards handling these traffic mitigation issues. Through this body and also the city council, several high-density projects have been recommended and approved through the strategy of donating an additional amount of money on top of the mandated mitigating traffic fees for the city to use at their discretion to be able to be used at these intersections. That is why we're here for today and why we respectfully disagree with the city staff regarding section 3.5 of the development agreement. As raised in a recent hearing, we do not feel that an entire intersection composed by multiple state and local agencies should be responsible of one developer to design and construct. We understand the city is not asking us to design or construct the light. However, that is essentially what it will boil down to. To this date of my knowledge, there are no developers to be slated within the near future that would contribute to this light that we are responsible for. With the change in market, we cannot say for certain that there will be enough developments within the area to pay for the construction of this light, which is estimated to be well over $2 million, and that is not to include the design of it. Our solution to this problem is outlaid between 2 different options that we would like to ask City Council for them to weigh on. One, it'll be the same as previous developers who have had their project recommended and passed through city, and that's to eliminate section 3.5 of our development agreement in exchange for a contribution of $160,000 for the city to use at their discretion towards whichever intersection that they see fit. Now we see this as the voluntary road payment. Now the developer would like to be able to see it used at that Emmett 44 light, Emmett Road and Highway 44, but again, it's to the discretion of the city. The city may use these funds toward traffic mitigation that this development will cause, and in addition, further development down the road. Our second alternative to this issue at Highway 44 is to allow us to design light at Emmett and Highway 44. Now, we believe this is an overachieving option for development that is only contributing 0.05% of the traffic to that light. However, we also share the same concerns with the residents that something needs to be done with this intersection. That is why we're willing to step in the batter's box and work with all the players involved to get the much needed light designed. Our contribution will be capped at $160,000 as we believe we can perform this task within this amount. This is not only to take into consideration of extensive man hours and coordination that my development team is willing to take on, but we truly believe that we are the city's best and most current option as to getting the traffic light designed in an efficient and economical manner, as we have already begun preliminary work talking to the people who are going to be tasked with this. Lastly, we are in agreement with the city findings that this project will not put schools at overcapacity. In recognition of bonds being voted down in the community, we are graciously going to donate $147,000 to the school district to use at their discretion. Now, this is by no means used as a recommendation from the school board. In fact, we have deliberately chosen not to inform the schools about this donation and will not be contacting them regarding them until after city council. Next slide. In conclusion, I want to leave you with this. Idaho is one of the fastest growing states in the U.S. Housing affordability and attainability is becoming even harder in the Treasure Valley, given where the interest rates and the economy is moving. It is projects like Pheasant Heights that will help alleviate the need for housing here. And as we do not know where development will be occurring, to provide quality housing for the citizens for Idaho to enjoy, as everyone here has been able to benefit for living in the city of Middleton. So, thank you, and I would stand for questions right now.
Thank you. I'll have to start off with a couple of questions, but first, just a reminder to the audience to please keep your voices down. So you agree that nothing has changed on your plat from the time that we saw it before. There's just certain elements of the argument that you think were misrepresented, and that's why. So nothing different has come before us. A couple of dollar amounts, but as far as the plat goes, it's the same.
As far as the plat, and if there's any more technical questions regarding what we have changed, we did have, again, they were minor changes that the city was able to show. Now, in response to that, it kind of comes down to whether or not during that time if we wanted to consider a reconsideration or the appeal, the developer was doing this. Again, we were not part of this at the time. However, the chances to be able to, because they believe in this project, and we all believe in this project, is to be able to sit back and wait for a year to be able to understand what we can change. Now, part of that was to be able to find the engineering aspects that the city staff would like to be able to see, and those were the aspects that we did change that, and includes the amenities as well in there. But yes, it essentially relies down on the argument of the time of how it got denied and why we feel like why we feel it as if it was misrepresented during the time.
Okay. And then another question also is that is it correct that the amenities are going to be intended for the use of the residents of the neighborhood, not necessarily a park for public use?
Yep, yes, the amenities of the park, the seating, that is all for the residents of the community.
Be maintained by the HOA?
Yep, yes.
And then another question about the application. Is this the same applicant as before, the same owner, developer bringing the project here, or has the developer changed hands as well?
So it is the same landowner of the project. However, our development team, who again were in-state developers, were joined in right after that. Okay. To be able to see what we can contribute and be able to offer, eyes and ears down here. Okay.
And so then, let's say that you get your project approved through City Council. What is your timeline for building your phases, 1, 2, and 3? What is your expected end date where everything should be fully developed and houses on the market?
We would like to begin phase 1 in 2024. Now, we'd be able to, I think Carl Anderson might be able to answer the question as far as the time length between the two in there. But I assume it's going to be within about a year to 2 years between those phases. if not a little less time.
So like 2 years to total build out, you think, and then starting sometime in 2024, so you're looking at like a 2026 end date?
That would be ideal, would be able to start in 2024. But as far as the time link between the phases, I'm gonna have to refer that to Carl when he comes up.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that was the only questions that I had right now. Commission, anybody else have questions? And keep it to questions, not necessarily comments, but
Sure.
questions.
I don't see the pump lift station location on here. Is it on your property or is it somewhere else?
Yes, it is. It is in the top northwestern part of the property.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if we could be able to pull up the.
Yep.
You see it right up there?
Yep.
And again, we were more than happy to be able to provide within the development agreement saying that we will contribute significantly to the construction of the regional lift station, as we know that the comprehensive plan has the city limits going beyond that, going beyond this project well into the county areas. And so that is why we believe that this lift station is needed as a regional lift station, that we're more than happy to be able to jump in and start that process if asked by the city.
Any other questions for?
Would this have a connection to attach adjacent properties to it?
To my understanding, yes. Again, that might be able to go. Questions for that?
Okay.
Regarding your preliminary plat and the previous findings through council and planning and zoning, as stated, there's not a lot of change other than some verbiage and some contributions. Was there ever any consideration of maybe, obviously I know they suggested staying in R1 continuity, was there ever any thought of, or review of the plat to maybe to try to be more contiguous with what's surrounding it? You've got half acres to the north, you've got half acres to the south. Was there any kind of compromise on that?
Absolutely. We weighed every single option, including going back into the county designation where it's an R1 lots and having that commercial. Again, it's about 8 to 12 acres of commercial aspect on that and the road. However, when we were looking at that, we were looking at the other developments that were approved and annexed into the city of Middleton. We knew that this project not only would need to be R3 as it was kind of within the city findings, but we felt that that is the most reasonable, the highest benefit use for this piece of land. Again, the city needs to be able to take in consideration not just what's happening within this year, next year, within the next 5 years, but also the next 50 to 100 years of where you're wanting to see this growth to go. Now, that is why we have the comprehensive plan and the future land use plan to be able to tell us exactly where this higher density land is supposed to be able to go. Now, that goes back to my further point is we did look at this and be able to say, all right, let's do 1 acre lots as kind of a staying within the county. We just don't feel that is, again, the highest benefit use, because then that will lead to urban sprawling across the entire area that it is a zone that is designated from the city, again, by the comprehensive plan, that says that this needs to be higher density in order to prevent that. And so that is why we came to that conclusion. We truly believe that this ground is there for this project.
Chairman Summers, I have some questions. There was a great deal of discussion in our last meeting in planning and zoning. This has a lot of could potentially have a lot of students that are transiting, not just from the subdivision, but area subdivisions by this subdivision getting to school. These particular students are walking to school. There's no busing. It's going to be available for this subdivision. With no changes, I don't see, there was a lot of discussion how to make it a safe walk for the students, and I don't see any change to that.
So the changes, as far as the busing aspect of it, the school district did come out and say that they have busing options for the elementary schools and the junior highs, or the middle schools. And so that option is good. But as far as the high school, there is no busing option for that. We are contributing again to that, building that sidewalk over on Emmett Road to be able to connect to the roundabout to provide the school crossing where that's at right now. Now, we just got a letter from the school district within the last few days who did request that we would put up some sort of signage to be able to alleviate some of the concerns that some people have, and we're more than happy to be able to contribute to that aspect of this.
Okay, unless I'm missing it, the sidewalk that you talked about is to the south.
The sidewalk is to the north, the north part of the property.
Okay, and how is that connected to the subdivision?
So actually, it's on the outside of the subdivision, so it's on the northern part, but then it's not connecting to our property. That is our way to be able to help mitigate some of the crossing issues, is we're willing to be able to go into that stretch that it's not adjacent to our property, to be able to build that out in order to alleviate some of the issues of the students crossing.
So there's no walkways from within the subdivision to get access to that for the students that are coming from within the subdivision. The students outside the subdivision that are coming in from the north or wherever they're walking to the school from.
I'm trying to see if I understand your question correctly. So the sidewalks within our subdivision will lead to that sidewalk on Emmett Road, which will then take them to the designation, to those roundabout, more specifically to the north of the property where there is that school crossing.
You had that in a slide, right?
Yes, I believe so. I
Can
think
you
it's in
pull
the.
that up?
According
Part
to
of the
the
slide.
slide here, it's to the south.
Well, it's to the north up to the roundabout, right?
Yes.
So what he's saying is that there's gonna be a little chunk of sidewalk that is beyond, that's north. That's the roundabout up above the school.
Okay.
Willis is above is above.
That house right
Right.
there is right here.
How long would that sidewalk be? Does that connect all the way down to your right in, right out, or is that the whole thing, right?
Sure.
And I would like to be able to point out here regarding the sidewalk to the school system is.
Okay.
Yeah, wait. You're fine. So this goes back to the issue of your question of what if we were to consider the R1 designation with 1 acre lots. Now, if we were able to go through the county, we would not be the city would not be able to say to us, hey, you've got to be able to put that sidewalk over on here. You got to provide some sort of curb and gutter on the outside of our project. And now we felt that that probably isn't the most reasonable thing to do. And so that is, in order for us to be able to consider the elements and the contributions that we do understand that we're going to impact, again, that Highway 44 and that intersection, that light that we have said that we'd be able to donate as the previous project have done to the city to use at discretion, or again, that we'd be willing to be able to take on the design of the light. We would not be able to do that and help mitigate so many of these problems that Middleton is seeing right now without our project in there. And so we are willing to be able to step up and to be able to help mitigate some of these projects that we would essentially not be able to do it with 1 acre lots or even commercial ground right there. And so that's why we thought it was very important for us to be able to be annexed into the city with the project that we have now, because that makes the most economic sense for us to be able to do so. If not, we wouldn't be able to. Nor would we be incentivized to do so if we went current designation.
Any other questions?
Chairman Summers, I have one more question. Regarding the 3.5, the agreed traffic light, it says that you, or the builder, has not agreed as stipulated to that.
Yep.
Is that an impasse? I mean, is that a no-go?
Well,
What is the position?
Right. So our alternative to that was to be able to get rid of that. The reason why we're trying to get rid of that is because, again, the construction of that light is going to be north of $2 million. Now, one developer should not be having to take on that construction of that light, because, well, more importantly, again, this subdivision was only affecting 0.05% of going through that intersection. So we just didn't think that was fair for us to be able to do so. Again, I'm not the first person to make this argument through this board, and we think it is a very fair argument to make. So now our alternative to that was to be able to get rid of that section 3.5 and to be able to input our ability to donate $160,000 for the city to use immediately for them to use whatever roadway so they can use it at the intersection or the light. Our second alternative to that we want the city council to weigh in, again, I cannot stress enough how important it is for us to be able to, the developer willing to go and design the light, to be able to start that process, because I'm sure, as will be pointed out tonight, that light is, as of right now, it's likely it's not going to be constructed until 2040, and so that's a possibility that even if it begins by then. And so we're willing to be able to step up and start that process right now, so when the time does come, at least the first step is taken underway. And I think that's a huge contribution that no other developers have been able to show in the city of Middleton right now for us to go to that length.
If I could respond to that.
Absolutely.
Two things. First, every development is different.
Yes.
This has a lot of compounding factors that may not apply over here on Cemetery or Middleton or wherever. This is specific to your circumstance and the conditions that we have today. So the reason I asked the question is that so you contribute a portion of the light. It doesn't build the light. If you've built your subdivision and you have a traffic impact, yes, you put in your proportionate share, it's been called. But in this circumstance, with the traffic coming out of the high school, particularly at high school start and end times, there is a traffic problem there today. And so how do we mitigate that today? And that's what I think that this stipulation in 3.5 is there for. And again, you mentioned others have not had that stipulation or has not been agreed to yet. I don't know that I can argue or not, but this particular circumstance, again, in my mind is different than the others. It has its own circumstances. So it rests on its own merits or not.
May I respond to that?
Of course.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree with you more. Again, this project needs to be looked at by itself. And in comparison to that, the city has outlined in their own impact fees to be able to take consideration the impact that the traffic is going, this subdivision traffic is going to contribute to the surrounding intersections. The impact fees of the $68,000 that we had in there, again, I think it was also a traffic impact fee of over $700,000 that this development will be contributing into that project. So normally, in a general subdivisions, you know, that is perfectly fine for them, and we're happy, more than happy to pay that contribution, as we think it's our fair share to be able to do that. But in order to be able to answer, to help mitigate even additionally, we're wanting to see this project go through, because again, we think this is the highest benefit use for this piece of land across from the high school. We need to be able to contribute even more additional. Now, we've looked at, the reason why I bring up previous developments is because they've had success doing that. Again, you gotta look at their own merit, but we wanted to be able to see that, match that, and be able to go beyond of what they've done, of what they have done to be able to get these projects through.
I hear what you say. I still go back to the original question. Is this a hard no?
For section 3.5, so
Correct.
the hard no comes for withholding the building permits in the final plat, yes, because we feel that, again, it will be raised tonight, and it was raised last time, that if the construction, we don't know how the economy is gonna be looking over the next, let's say, 10, 15 years. If we have homes that are already built within 10 years and we can't be able to get our building permit because another developer hasn't came through the city of Middleton who's willing to be able to contribute that amount of money to get it constructed, even if we were to design it ourselves, the opportunity for hardship is more likely, and I don't think it looks great having empty houses just sitting there on the lots. And so that's why we're saying that. You know, again, this light it's very significant. It's going to take a lot of time just to be able to coordinate with all the parties that are involved with it. And so that is why we feel like, although it's going to take time, we want to be able to contribute to that. We just can't get our building permits withheld from that. Otherwise, it just wouldn't make sense for us to be able to do it.
So that's a no.
Yes, no,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
And for clarity regarding that too, with this statute in there, there would be no houses on lots because there wouldn't be building permits issued, correct?
Yes, I think that the phase one is the final plat wouldn't be. Again, I don't have it pulled up. The phase one, the final plat wouldn't be given until it's constructed, or designed, constructed. So you would have, I believe, houses built, but it wouldn't be the entire of the project.
Well, according to the development agreement though, currently the way it's written, you wouldn't be issuing building permits at all prior to that light being functional.
For designed, I believe, but yes, yeah, correct.
So the statement about empty houses sitting isn't applicable.
Well, if it were to be designed, again, I don't know if we got the development group pulled up, but it's to our understanding that once the light is designed, then we could be able to get permits. The final plat won't be approved until it's constructed.
So correct, so final plat not approved, so you're not gonna have empty houses sitting, is what I'm saying, correct? That's, I just want some clarity on
Yeah,
that.
yes, okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for,
Quick one, the right in, right out turn, is there its own turn lane for that? Or is that just an arrow on the one lane road that's already there? You know what I mean? And if there is, how long is it?
Would you be able to answer that? Yeah.
name and address for the
Of
record?
course, yeah. So it's Teller Bar, Kinley Warren, address 1100 West Idaho Street, Suite 210 in Boise. So the western half of it will be built to the same standard as the eastern half, which I believe makes it a total 5-lane section through there. 2 lanes on the northbound, 1 center lane, and then 2 lanes southbound. So there will not be a dedicated right turn lane southbound.
Okay. Just the 2 southbound lanes,
Correct.
and then some grass, and then a walkway.
Yep.
And then some more grass and a fence.
That's exactly right.
All right.
Any other questions for applicant? I do have one more question, possibly for staff, possibly for the applicant, maybe both.
Yes.
So in this 3.5.1 that we're talking about here, it does state that the city shall contribute to developer all funds collected for the development of the Emmett intersection, blah, 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 for up to 5 years. Do we know how much has been collected for that intersection with our impact fees? Do we know what that pot totals?
I do not
You
know.
know? Does somebody in the city know?
The planning staff would know that.
Okay,
would have that.
so that's something that could be provided to city council.
Keep in mind, please, if I may continue on that then, the $750,000 in impact fees would be credited toward the light. So the ultimate outlay of the cost of the light, if it was 1.5 million, that would be $750,000. So their $750,000 in impact fees is credited toward the light.
Plus anything that's already in the pot that we've already collected.
Correct.
So potentially it could be really close to being paid for, but we just don't know that.
We don't know that, no.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. Is that your understanding as well?
Yes, that is my understanding of that.
Okay,
And that doesn't, again, yeah, the plot includes the contribution on top of
that
the
everybody
impact
else
fees.
has been collecting.
Right.
And I believe if my understanding is correct, that this collection of the impact fees is kind of a new thing, right? Like it hasn't always been, we haven't always been collecting these impact fees years and years ago. So this is kind of within the last 5 to 6, 7 years, we've been collecting impact fees.
Chairman Summers, correct, and the city has also been collecting pro rata fees, and that's held by the Idaho Transportation Department, and it's allocated toward these individual intersections. So there is a pot of money there. I don't know how large the pot is, but there are monies that are collected and are being held specifically for that intersection.
Okay.
M44.
Okay, perfect. City Attorney, did you have anything you needed to clarify for us?
No, at that point, no.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right, any other questions for applicant? Okay, Thank you, and we will allow the public to ask questions, make comments, and then we'll bring you back up at the end. Okay. Okay, so if anybody has come in late and has not yet signed up for public testimony for this hearing, only make sure that you get your name on there. Can we take a quick break? Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, is that good? 5-minute break where we will adjourn at 6:47.